Hello and welcome in to another episode of Ranger Motion. I'm going to be taking you through what it's like to go to the same 200-hour level course by the same company in Bali and in India. So I'm going to be going over pricing, lodging, the classes, the structure, the food, the experiences, anything that I can think of that might help you make a decision if you're thinking about taking a yoga teacher training. And if you're new here, hello and welcome. My name is Coach Paul Young. I'm a two-time Iraq veteran, U.S. Army Ranger. After my military experience, I trained, coached, and managed at some of the best facilities downtown Chicago for almost 10 years. In April of 2023, I packed up everything and now I travel the world full time. And those travels brought me into practicing real yoga, which has helped. And so I want to share my experience with you as I grow and develop and become more emotionally mature, but then also, as always, like taking care of the body. So, welcome. Let's get right to it. One of my favorite things about Bali was definitely the lodging. You had a room with AC in it, which definitely good for the sleep. We also had a very nice pool with a great view. The dining was buffet style and it was outdoors. And my favorite part about this place was the Shala. The Shala was really pretty. It also had these nice wooden floors and these huge windows that just opened up and you were kind of raised off the earth, it seemed. Like you were up in the treetops. And so in India, the rooms were a little more modest. They didn't have a fridge in them or an AC unit, but it is up in the mountains, so you're not talking about extreme heat. And there was no mini fridge, but you can ask the staff and they have a fridge downstairs if you want to store some food. There was also balconies, not the same view into nature, but still I thought a nice view of the eclectic town. The Shala in India definitely didn't have the same beauty or pizzazz that Bali did. It was convenient to get to. It was only a couple floors up from where I was staying. In Bali, the food was served by the resort. It was strictly vegetarian. They did serve some eggs in the morning, and they also used tempeh and tofu. It was an all-you-can-eat buffet. Here's a few of the dishes that they had. In India, the food is served by the school in the same building, and they have a sattvic diet, and that's more along the lines of vegan. Just think very clean and healthy for you. I will tell you that some of us Westerners had problems digesting the lentils that were there, and they just didn't sit well, but for the most part, it was very nutritious and healthy for you. One of the differences is that in India, you're sitting on the floor with your family versus like sitting on a table with chairs. During the opening ceremony and for graduation, they served the tandoori style paneer and naan, and I'm just a huge fan of this. This is what it looked like. It was really great. All right, so moving on to my favorite part. This is the classes and instructors. And I just want to tell you that first, like as a coach myself and a former Army Ranger, my standard about form and about coaching is pretty high. I like somebody who's competent in what they do, passionate about what they do, and the instructors at these courses were definitely that, but even more. They were humble, caring. They really wanted you to ask the questions and really loved when you gave 110% effort. Let's meet our instructors and go over the courses. The day started with hatha practice. So after we go through the warm-ups and sun salutations, going into holding these poses for a little bit longer as hatha does, Sonaji will always stop us and either demo with himself or with another classmate, and I'll show you just a little bit right here so you get a feel of what he does.
Bend the knees, tuck the tailbone. Okay. When your legs are straight, you could not understand how to tuck the tailbone. Mm-hmm. Bend the knee, tuck the tailbone. Now press the elbow and open the shoulder and move your ribs in. Now straight everything.
Barbie toes.
Sorry, Barbie toes. And Barbie toes.
As I said, just a super humble, very knowledgeable guy. And if you don't know the difference in the styles, I recommend, first of all, going to a yoga teacher training course. Even if you don't plan on becoming a yoga teacher, you get to learn far more. I did classes, okay, in Chicago with some of the best instructors as far as the West would be considered. You can't really learn how to do this stuff in vinyasa and also in a packed class. You just don't have the time, and the style of vinyasa is such that you go from one thing to another so quickly that you don't ever really understand what it's like to be in the asana correctly, okay? So if you want to know the difference between different types of yoga, watch this video, okay? After Hatha, the next class is pranayama. This is the literal translation is like the expansion of life, breath. The source of life is the breath, and we want to expand on it and control it. You're gonna learn the basic techniques, yogic breathing, Anulom Vilom, and also why you do these things. So the next class is anatomy. And as someone who majored in kinesiology and got a degree in it, I found this a little bit of a refresher course, but it was great to see, again, that the instructors like know the muscles, they know the joints, they know the ligaments, they know how it all connects. After anatomy was philosophy, and in Bali, it was taught by Sonoji. I was able to understand where yoga came from, where the different styles of asana practice have come from, and then also of what we're trying to do as far as like getting to the path of enlightenment and what like Ashtanga Yoga really is, about the 8 steps towards enlightenment. In India, I met Siddhanchi. Siddhanchi not only delivered the message passionately, you could tell he didn't need to refer to any notes. He just knew all of these concepts off the top of his head. After lunch, there was a 3-hour break in between classes. And we'll get more into that in a second. Like our next class is mantra chanting. I could only compare it to worship, you know, at a Sunday church service. It would make me happy. I don't know how else to say it. We're basically repeating a mantra again and again. When you're guided by somebody who's as talented and passionate as Pinky Ji that we had in India, you kind of just feel more connected to the process of yoga. And then we went right into practicing Ashtanga, and I was always a little happier and more focused because of doing this class prior to that. In Ashtanga, the classes were taught by Sachinji, and here's a clip of him just levitating into doing his halfway lift. Just shows you his control, his ability. So 2 things that I really loved about the Ashtanga class was, 1, you broke off into groups to be able to not only cue and help your peers get into a better position, but you also got those critiques so that you understood what it felt like to be in the primary series of Ashtanga correctly. The other thing that was really great is that you got to use the tools like straps, blocks, and chairs in order to understand how to use these as tools to be able to get into these positions better. Not only for ourselves, but when you're working with beginners, which is what I specialize in, you're going to be able to help in a safer way progress into being able to do it without it. But at the beginning, these were infinitely helpful. So moving on to ceremonies, both in India and in Bali, we did these opening ceremonies where it was very traditional, you know, and you place offerings into the fire. We also stated our intentions. We told a little bit about our past and where we're from, so you got to know the people that you were in the course with as well. You know, you're there to learn how to be a yoga teacher, of course, but to be able to take part in these ancient rituals allows you to like connect deeper and think with the whole process of it. So it's something that I think that you can't experience in the West. They just don't offer that. Regardless of if you go to Bali or India, you're gonna get that, and that's really great. I promise you'll like it. So moving on to extracurricular activities. I mean, you're already gonna be in a foreign country, so you definitely wanna like get more of an experience than just the yoga teacher training. Both Bali and India offer some cool things. You can go find secret waterfalls in both places, actually. I thought that was kind of cool. In Bali, I hiked up Mount Batur, which is an active volcano, and it really has like steam coming off of it when you go walk around it. Beautiful sunrise. Yeah, definitely recommend. In India, if you're in Rishikesh, it's like a mountain town. It kind of reminds me of Colorado. And in that way too, you can go whitewater rafting, which the school paid for us to do. And then also me and 3 other mates went and did bungee jumping, which is right next to it, just after whitewater rafting. So there's experiences to be had. There's more than that. You don't have to just do those things if you're not as adventurous. But the 3-hour gap between lunch and the next class is really useful to be able to study or do some of these extracurricular activities, okay? So looking at pricing, if you're budget concerned, then India is the way to go. Bali's, I think, like twice as much. Your stay is included, all the meals are included, and then you get like a massage, and sometimes you go on an excursion for free, as we just talked about. And then to get to Bali, it's probably a little more expensive, but not much. But again, twice the